I guess we should just go ahead and get this show started, shall we? Yeah. And it's about time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the world-famous Rich Wilson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world-famous Rich Wilson Show.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the world-famous Rich Wilson Show. Glad we're here and alive. That's right, folks. Yesterday was a bit tasking, and we're going to go into a little bit more, but as you know, yesterday we had probably one of the worst, not the absolute worst, but one of the worst tornado outbreaks in Texas history yesterday. And yours truly was assisting with the tracking of those tornadoes. And at one point, we had 11 active tornadoes at one time. That is 11 tornadoes on the ground at one time. So yeah, it was a bit of a rough day. So tonight on the show, we're going to talk about how seems a little odd that Putin said that he was trying to get rid of the Nazis in Ukraine, and it doesn't seem like that's working. Is Nancy Pelosi under the influence? Who knows? We're also going to I'm going to show you probably the most honest, unabated comments when it comes to our current leadership that we have here in the United States. I'm going to show, and of course, I'm going to show you some of the footage and some of the devastation from our tornadoes yesterday. And then some clarification points based on some misinformation that people seem to be getting about this entire thing. So that's what we got going on the show tonight. So let's get started with it, folks. First of all, I'm going to bring this picture up. That gentleman that's sitting there off to the man in the uniform, because I think on yours it would be the guy all the way to the left, the guy in uniform. That's Boris Romanchenko. Okay. He's 96 years old. And he survived the Holocaust. He was held captive by the Nazis, tortured, and did unspeakable things to this guy. Well, in the Russian strike on the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, unfortunately, Boris lost his life. Now now we could say that, well, Putin wasn't directly impacting this man or attacking this man in particular. We could say the same thing about the Holocaust memorial that they have in Ukraine. However, this multiple casualties of this conflict have been either memorials of the Holocaust or Holocaust survivors that are residing in Ukraine have been caught in the crossfire on this. So it seems like Putin is actually doing more damage and killing more of people that are not Nazis than people who are, or people who identify as a Nazi. I better not say identify. But that seems to be more of than the other. So here's the deal. Putin saying that he is attacking Ukraine to get rid of the Nazis is a load of horseshit. It really is. Back in the 90s when Putin was in office the first time, okay, he had made the comment before about returning the Soviet Union to its former glory. That's all of the countries that separated once the collapse of the Soviet Union happened. Okay, and then he was out of office and then back into office again. and has made that statement again. So, folks, this is not all the other rando crap that people keep talking about. This is literally his sad attempt at trying to restore the Soviet Union to its former glory. Well, communism fell, the communist country of the Soviet Union fell apart, and we're never going to see the Soviet Union like we did before. It doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. Now, of course, the government has been talking about, oh, well, we believe that he could use chemical weapons. And that's come up as a part of discussion lately about chemical weapons and chemical weapon facilities. And there's a whole lot of conspiracy theory crap going on about that. A lot of it. See, here's the thing. A lot of people are out there running the conspiracy theory that the United States is involved in trying to keep Ukraine safe because Ukraine has biological warfare facilities for developing and designing, well, it's the same word, biological and chemical weapons, and that the United States is benefiting from that. Even though the United States has its own facilities for making countermeasures to the use of biological and chemical weapons. They do. It's in Maryland. They don't. It's not a hidden fact that in Maryland there is a military installation that, and part of that installation is creating countermeasures to biological and chemical weapons. Where do you think anthrax vaccine came from? It came out of Maryland. Okay. We don't require the need of Ukraine's biological weapons manufacturing because they don't make biological weapons there. Okay. Part of the deal when Ukraine separated from Russia to be recognized as an independent country, they had to give up their Russian nuclear weapons, Russian biological and chemical weapons. They had to give up a lot of things that the Soviet Union had in order to be recognized. They weren't allowed to obtain a nuclear weapon. They weren't allowed to produce nuclear or biological and chemical weapons. Okay. During the Clinton administration, it was 100% verified through inspections from two different agencies, global agencies, that they were no longer producing any nuclear weapons, biological or chemical weapons in the Ukraine. That those facilities, in fact, the facility that everybody keeps bringing up, is not being used to make weaponry. It's the same thing like the facility in Maryland. They make countermeasures to the use of biological weapons and chemical weapons. Okay, it's a research facility to make countermeasures. We have one in Maryland. They have one in Ukraine. Okay, every modern country in the world has at least a facility to manufacture countermeasures to these weapons. Okay, so that in itself, now some countries have facilities to manufacture stuff just as well. Obviously, the Russians are still making nuclear weapons and chemical and biological weapons. The threat has been used to use one, if not all three, on Ukraine. Okay. But the facility that people keep bringing up in these conspiracy theories is that the United States is supporting and trying to defend. The reason why the United States is kind of defending Ukraine is because part of the agreement when Ukraine gave up all of this is the UK and the United States promised to defend and protect Ukraine from invasions and stuff like that. They promised that they would support them in defending themselves. So technically, we're doing that. Technically. What's really got me concerned is something that I saw over the weekend where I started seeing reports from media outlets talking about maybe it's time to put troops on the ground in Ukraine. And the only thing I could come up with at that point is if you want World War III, that's how you're going to get that will get you World War III. Right now, because we don't do that. Okay, because we don't have boots on the ground. Right now, it's kind of turned into almost in a sense, a proxy war between Russia and the United States, with Ukraine being the middle ground. Now, I've said this terminology before, just like the Palestinians are the proxy for Iran fighting Israel. Even though everybody's like, we got to worry about the Palestinians and we gotta be with the Palestinians, support the Palestinians, even though the Palestinian country is all about terrorism and genocide and killing women and children and stuff like that. But evidently, because we can't support Israel for some reason, and so Ukraine has turned into that. It's also like Syria. Syria is a proxy agent for Russia, because who do you think's giving Syria all the weaponry and stuff like that? It's the Russians. Well, this is turning into the same thing. Ukraine is the proxy for NATO to fight against Russia. And it's unfortunate because you have a country that's trying to be free and independent that's being attacked by a country, and I don't understand why the Russians are half-assing it. And NATO is using Ukraine to fight the war against Russia without actually fighting a war against Russia. If we put troops on the ground, World War III, it's going to happen. Because at that point, you're going to back Putin in a corner, and since Putin has made all these threats, guess what? He'll start acting on them. If he's backed in a corner and feels that NATO has now officially attacked him, then he'll respond, and it won't go well. It just will not go well. Okay? So, folks, stop looking into these conspiracy theory nuts about what's actually happening in Ukraine, and start understanding that what you're looking at is NATO using Ukraine now in this situation as a proxy to fight the war against Russia. The one thing I will give, like I said before, the one thing I'll give Vladimir Putin credit for is he took an organization, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and took it from being irrelevant to making it relevant again. When this started out and they started talking about NATO, and everybody's like, who gives a damn about NATO? They're irrelevant. He made them relevant again. So you can give him that. I guess it's one of the unintended consequences. I couldn't tell you. But enough about that. If you want to really get into anything about Ukraine and stuff like that, you can find every major news source is talking about it. Well, not right now. They're all talking about the Supreme Court nominee. And the bad part is you watch the Supreme Court nominee, and right now you can't tell what's what, because in one moment they're complaining about shit she does, and then the next moment they're kissing her ass. So go figure. And it could be out of the same senator. It's really weird. I'm trying to track it so that at least I could give you guys some updated information about it and stuff like that, but there really hasn't been any real things coming out of it. So I've got nothing for you right now in the Supreme Court nominee hearings. I really don't. But what I do have for you is, you guys understand how the order of succession works in the United States. Okay, so you have the President of the United States, Joe Biden, that guy. And then you have, of course, if something, God forbid, happens. And understand something, folks. I don't like Joe Biden, but I don't wish anything bad on anybody. So, God forbid, if something happened to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris becomes the President of the United States. God help us all. But if something, and God forbid, something happens to Kamala Harris, then the next one in line is Nancy Pelosi. Think about that for a second. Nancy Pelosi, who everybody complained that Donald Trump was too old. Then some people complained about Biden being too old. Nancy Pelosi's older than them. She's in her 80s. I think Biden's only like 78 or something like that. It'll be 80 when he's done, I think. I don't have his age in front of me right now, but Nancy's already in her 80s. And if y'all think that Biden is bad, and y'all make your comments about Biden, I make jokes about Biden all the time. This makes me wonder, if she's not having an issue, then she's got to be under the influence. Watch this, and you tell me.
The other thing that we're getting we're sending stuff over to the Senate. Well, most of the product that we've done is, except now we may have added in the last day or so, and some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing.
They added
Bernie
Senate
doesn't
to the
like
bill?
Hearing. Excuse me. Bernie loves hearing. Manchin doesn't want hearing in the bill and all that stuff. So some is Senate oriented, and then we have the family medical leave. We figured if they're putting things in, then we can put something in, even if Manchin doesn't like it. So, so we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub, because privilege scrub is deadly to a bill. Birdable, it's important. You have to take it out, but privilege violation can take you out. So we're again getting that as we go along as well. But when we pass a bill, then they will see it in its aggregate and make some.
Any concern that any of this is, quote, messaging, because that they have to take some of those things out regardless, no matter what you send over? You said you weren't going to send a messaging bill.
No, we're not sending a messaging bill, but we want to be sure that what we send is not birdable or bird bath or privilege scrub. They're the two exercises we're getting engaged, bathing exercises we're engaged in. And we're getting good response. There's no bad answer.
Everything you just said was a bad answer. I'm sorry, but the hell are you talking about? Bird bathing exercises. I think the only thing you were bathing in over there was whatever the hell was 120 proof that was in that cup you were drinking. I mean, none of that made any sense. I understand how the whole process works. And the fact that I understand the entirety of the process means that I can roughly translate what the hell she just said. But not really, because I'm not 100% certain. Because it sounds like the ramblings of an alcoholic. I mean, because the worst part about that is, if she's not suffering from a cognitive decline, then obviously she's on something. Because that sounded ridiculous. And of course, I'm over here making fun of her hand gestures, and I over here move my hands like crazy. Okay. But it's crazy what she just said. It made zero sense. And what she's talking about, folks. All right, so let me explain what she's talking about. What she's talking about is when the House passes the bill, they have to send it to the Senate for confirmation. They have to vote on it. Now, the Senate may not agree with it. And the Senate may take some stuff out and put some stuff in. And then it's got to go back to the House to be and they have to confirm what the Senate has done. And it goes back and forth. And I believe that's what she's meaning by the terminology of bird bathing it, is going up there and washing stuff off. I guess that's where she's going with that. Because this happens all the time. The House will pass a bill, it goes to Senate, and the Senate, is like, no, we don't like this, and we don't like that, we don't like this. So take this out, but we want to see this in it, and we want to see that in it, and then we send it up, and then the House does the same thing, and then sends it back, and it goes back and forth. And eventually, at some point, what you hope is that some bill comes out of it. something comes out of that benefits people. And I just, the way she was going with it, it's, she's like, Bernie doesn't like to hear. And then she goes, Bernie does like hearing. Does like the ability to hear. Well, I should hope so, Billy. But Bernie can't hear half the damn time anyway. Some of these people are so damn old. It's like, why are you even up there still? And it's because people walk into ballot boxes and just vote for the name they recognize. Most people don't do their research when they vote. But, and it's nuts because the stammering and everything that was going on, and it was just crazy. It was just absolutely crazy. And I can't believe that somebody's just not like, maybe we ought to look into the entire deal. I mean, Newt Gingrich turned around after this. Gingrich said that you have a president that's going on cognitive decline. You've got a Speaker of the House that sounds like a rambling alcoholic. And the vice president is just stupid. God help us all. At this point, I'll take Joe Biden for the remaining 2.5 years we got left with him. Because if we lose Biden, we get Kamala, who's a moron, who doesn't understand stuff. And there's a video that's coming up tonight that you're going to understand why there's just no way. And then you got Nancy Pelosi, who sounds like Biden, but everybody says she's still as sharp as a nail. And so then obviously she's under the influence of something up there, because none of that made any sense. Yes, worse than Dan Quayle. Well, I mean, Dan Quayle is no longer with us, but worse than Dan Quayle would have been. I mean, the bad part about it is Biden and Pelosi both are worse than Ronald Reagan on his last year, when Ronald Reagan was suffering from Alzheimer's legitimately in his last year of office. It bothers me. It's kind of, and the thing is, people are like, oh, it's because you hate Democrats. No, not true, because I wasn't calling for Obama to be gotten rid of in his last, during his administration. I didn't agree with his decisions, but I never called for his forcible removal, because he never technically violated the Constitution. That can be argued about his last year in office, but during the most of his time in office, he didn't violate the law. I just didn't think he did a good job. I'd say the same thing about George Bush. I don't think Bush Jr. did a great job either. But it's crazy to think this is your order of succession. You have somebody who doesn't know, I think has to be reminded that they're the president of the United States. Somebody who's an idiot. And somebody who's addicted to something, I guess. I mean, and the conspiracy theories about Nancy Pelosi are not unfounded. There has been multiple members of Senate and Congress over the years that said Nancy Pelosi, when you go in her office to have a talk with you, will bust out a bottle of booze and sit there and start drinking while you're talking to her. Who knows? I mean, seriously, it kind of frightens me that this is our primary order of succession. It really does. It bothers me greatly. So, by the way, speaking of the House of Representatives, if y'all didn't notice, you know that they passed their budget bill to extend the government staying open, right? We all know that, right? They do it all the time. No big news there. Okay. What you didn't know is, did you know that they passed a budget increase for their staffers and for the staff leaders? A pay raise for the congressional and Senate leaders, and they passed a budget increase for their staffing salaries. So while, ladies and gentlemen, you, the American people, are suffering from inflation and having a hard time putting fuel in your tank and, putting food on the table at a reasonable price right now, the Congress our House of Representatives, both Senate and Congress, decided to vote to get more money to give to their people to make sure that their staffers are taken care of. Not you, the American people, but their people. They took care of their people. And what's worse is today there was the murmurings are going on about another stimulus check. Because people are having a hard time dealing with inflation, so our answer is going to be to print more money. Why? Do you not understand? That is a horrible idea. But the problem is my view on all this is not terrible. Or not, no, I'm sorry, not terrible. I'm not alone in my view on the order of succession in the United States and the problems that we're having. The Sky News, this Sky News contributor wins my award for most honest commentary on how they feel about the current order of succession. And actually, the guy running the segment, not bad on his commenting either. So I want you guys to watch this. It's a little on the long side. But I think you guys will get a kick out of this. It's absolutely hilarious.
And to trending now, I think it's suddenly becoming obvious. I mean, social media, a lot of chatter about it, that America has a real leadership crisis. And it's not just that its president, Joe Biden, seems to have dementia that's getting rapidly worse.
So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're going to get a lot done.
Adding to the problem is that the person who would take over from him, if he can't go on, as his vice president, she's totally clueless. And it's not just that she's not doing a job like, fixing the border crisis that she was asked to do and won't go near it. Check this out. Being asked during a briefing, I think it was last week, by NASA, if NASA could perhaps use its satellites to track down racist trees.
Can you measure trees? Part of that data that you're referring to, and it's in EJ, it's environmental justice, but you can also track by race. There are averages in terms of the number of trees in the neighborhood where people live.
And now she's on a visit to France, for some reason, where she put on a French accent while talking to French scientists. Oh, and Americans seem to realise that this is a clown show now. Biden's polls are terrible, around 40% approval, but Harris's are even worse, 28%. Joining me is Daisy Cousins, a YouTube star with her own video channel. Daisy, what is the problem with Kamala Harris?
Well, look, if we're to believe Jimmy Kimmel, then everyone who doesn't like her is sexist and racist, which is actually what he said on his show recently. But in the absence of any compelling evidence to indicate that nearly 3/4 of the population of America are racist and sexist, we can just put that in the lefty cop-out basket and assume instead that Kamala Harris is simply ineffective, out of touch, and I really do hate to be unkind here, Andrew, but she has the charisma of a wet sock, which really doesn't help. And as you mentioned earlier, she was assigned to manage the crisis at the border, but not only did she not actually go down until to the border until June, she fobbed off journalists who called her on it earlier than that by laughing at them and likening it to the fact that she hadn't been to Europe, as if that was any kind of equivalence. She is neck deep in the swamp, as we know, which people find very, very off-putting. She's also obsessed with race politics, you know, as you saw with that ridiculous racist trees comment. And as we know from the Virginia election last week, there's a bit of a woke clash going on in America against race politics. So that's not going to be particularly good for her either. And what we've got to remember is I don't actually think she was that popular going into the vice presidency. She might have bought some shine from Biden at the start, from his honeymoon period, but when she dropped out of the nominee race last year, she was polling at like 1 or 2%, really, really low, and she wasn't even the front runner for Biden's vice president. She ended up on the ticket, but the front runner was Amy Klobuchar, who pulled out because she said Biden should choose a woman of color to be the VP, and of course that was going to be Kamala because there was nobody else. So really, she has nothing going for her. She's attached to Biden. She's completely dysfunctional, and I'm very, very sorry for the American public that this is who they have to choose from.
Well, it's even worse than you say, Daisy, because if Biden can't go on, yes, he'd be replaced by Harris. But next in line for the leadership hierarchy is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, who's, 81 or something. Can you explain to me what Nancy Pelosi, with her even with the help of her amazing arm movements, which are just so distracting, what she's actually saying in this briefing to journalists last week?
We're sending stuff over to the Senate. Well, most of the product that we've done is, except now we may have added in the last day or so, and some of what we added is Senate to the bill, like a hearing. Bernie doesn't like hearing. Excuse me, Bernie loves hearing. Manchin doesn't want hearing in the bill and all that stuff. So some is Senate-oriented, and then we have the family medical leave. We figured if they're putting things in, then we can put something in, even if Manchin doesn't like it. So, so we are getting some bird and privilege. I think mostly we're getting privilege scrub, because privilege scrub is deadly to a bill. Birdable is important. You have to take it out, but privilege violation can take you out.
That's just hypnotic, Daisy. America's got 330 million people. It ends up with Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Nancy Pelosi, 1, 2, 3 in the leadership. Explain this.
Oh my God, I know. I mean, with so many people, those are the best three they can come up with. And the hilarious thing, Andrew, look what they said about the previous administration. They said that Trump was horrible, and that he was crazy, and that he was racist, and that he was a terrible leader, and he said all of these awful things, and they peddled just complete fake news and fake stories about him. They promised that they would do better, and they would be the adults in the room, and everything would be just normal and lovely when they got into power. And now they've got into power, and rather than improving on Trump, you've got a president who is completely off with the pixies. You've got a vice president who the very best thing about her is that she can do a bad French accent. And given that clip of Nancy Pelosi, you have a Speaker of the House who apparently doesn't know her Arthur from her Martha. So, but I guess what, Andrew? Guess what? How wonderful for America. There are no more mean tweets. There are no more mean tweets coming from the president's Twitter account. And well, look, I guess that must, in the minds of Democrats, make up for the absolutely horrible leadership position they are currently in.
Well, I think you're being a bit unkind to Nancy Pelosi, because it might just be a simple, natural answer. I mean, she might just be drunk. Okay, so, you can't rule that out. And you can always recover from being drunk. So I don't know whether you can recover from what actually she was having, but whatever. Daisy Cousins, thank you so much indeed for your time. Really appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
Okay, so a couple things too. Of course, we talked about the Biden thing before. Hey, Dean, glad that you made it home alive, buddy. Okay, so the Kamala Harris thing. I didn't know trees had races. Trees have race, and trees of certain races go to certain neighborhoods now. So what? We're going to condemn... then what? At that point, what's the racist? Which trees are the racist trees? Because I need to be prepared for that when those memes start flying across the, because last time I checked, and I mean I'm not a scientist, But my understanding was is trees have species or genius, I believe is what they're called. I mean, if I'm wrong in the chat, please let me know. But the last time I checked, there's not a race of trees. Trees do not have a race. They have different like species of trees, or like I said, genius of trees, but they're not a race. And so we're using NASA satellites to track the different trees and where they go in certain neighborhoods. Like trees are moving from one area and they're moving to other areas because of what white tree privilege? Is that what that is? Is there a white tree privilege now? And since there's more pine, because there's more pine trees in the United States of America, does that make pine trees the white privilege trees of the tree world? Is that what she's saying? Because that's what makes this so asinine. Well, and Nikani says definitely genius. The smartest trees have higher IQs than some people. Okay, but are those specific trees have a higher IQ because they had a better learning opportunity because they happened to move to a better... Hey, Luna's following me now. Thank you, Luna. Thank you for that follow right there. So you have a vice president that is saying that we can use NASA satellites to track trees to what neighborhoods these trees go to. So the trees are now moving to affluent neighborhoods because of white tree privilege, I guess. I guess that's what she's saying. And we can use NASA satellites to track these trees as they move into specific regions. So I guess then... I mean, this is how asinine these people are. That literally, the vice president of the United States makes the comment, we can use NASA satellites to tell what races of trees move into what neighborhoods. First of all, trees don't move into neighborhoods, okay? Now, trees can spread to other neighborhoods by sending out seeds, through the air, and those seeds go other places, and then you have another tree that pops up, and they slowly can spread out. Some trees are more aggressive than other trees, so that they will, dominate a area. I guess that's. I mean, I guess you can make that stretch. You can make that argument that I guess trees are like that. So we have white tree privilege, I guess, in affluent neighborhoods, and I can't believe that we're going to attempt to draw the line, try to draw the stretch that trees are racist now. I don't understand. It is gone. So this is the problem with these people, is they use the racist term so much that it's lost every bit of validity. It has lost every bit of validity. See, there used to be a time when you said that somebody or something was racist, or something was embedded in racism, and that was a problem, and logical people like myself and other people would do what we could do in order to make sure that was no longer a thing. But now the problem is, when every time somebody farts the wrong way, it's a racist issue, it loses validity. And where I draw the comparison is the boy who cried wolf. How many times do you cry wolf before people are just like, well, whatever? And then something really bad happens. Okay, somebody takes advantage of the situation where now people are so worn out by the argument, and that every time you say it, now nobody gives a shit. And then these things actually happen in a very horrific scale. So when you think about this, and they keep throwing these terminologies around like it's water, eventually it loses steam. If you keep it, if you throw a small cup of water, this example, if you throw a small cup of water on a roaring fire, it steams. But if you just keep throwing the water onto the fire, eventually the fire goes out and the water does nothing but cause a flood. I know it sounds like a Joe Bidenism. A friend of mine said it to me once, and it made sense for the situation. But eventually it just loses steam. It loses its purpose. So now, like I said, everything is racist. Trees are now racist. They've made that comment about animals. Animals don't know what racism is. Okay, they don't. But they've made that comment about animals, and they've made that comment about everything. Anything has racism in it. It's like the idiots who believe Dr. Kendi, and anything that comes out of that human being's mouth. Everything is racist. Well, if you look hard enough at anything, I guess you can find it based on these conclusions that are being drawn. Hey, Dean's now over here. Dean's in there with, I got me two Saracens in the YouTube chat over here. So yeah, it's crazy that we're now doing this, that everything is. And so because of this, you've got people that are literally, I just don't give a damn anymore. And when people start spouting off that it's this, then people just look at them like, just shut up. We're tired of hearing it. And that's when things get dangerous. When a group of people uses an argument that once had power and had validity and use it to the point that they take away that validity and that power, then it allows people who have gone into hiding to do that very thing, which we should be stopping, because you've destroyed the argument. You've destroyed it. And unfortunately, that I can see that coming. Poorly. Now let me get to some clarifications and context that I need to talk about before, and then we're going to finish it up where I talk about what happened yesterday. So there was discussion that was going on, and you guys know the other day I talked about the whole deal with the price of oil and how stupid that argument is that somebody says that the president can't make a decision to influence the price of oil, but yet the president of another country is, and how dumb that argument is. And if you guys want to watch that, go back and if you've never seen this show before, you can go into my YouTube channel or my Rumble channel or Twitch. And you could see the show from last week where I talk about that. So I'm not going to get back into that. But here was a new argument I got this weekend. Capitalism is a reason for inflation. Yeah, capitalism. No, sorry. Wrong again. And the reason being is because capitalism, okay, which involves corporations, because they also said corporations are the reason why we have inflation. No, that's not it either. You're incorrect there. And it boils down to the argument, no matter what excuse they throw at you, it's really simple. No, the market system is the foundation of where inflation or not inflation comes from. And how this works, once again, Market 101. The value of goods are based on demand. Okay? If there's a low amount of goods, but demand is higher than the amount of goods, then guess what? Price, up. But if the demand drops and the goods go up, price goes down. Real simple. Inflation. When there is more demand than there is goods, which I just switched hands, okay, then the price skyrockets until they balance out again. Okay. So to say that, oh, well, corporate greed is the reason for inflation. That's it. That's incorrect. Actually, corporations don't want inflation. They really don't. Okay? Here's the reason why. When inflation hits and demand skyrockets, but product availability is not there, people don't buy. Okay? They don't buy these things. And so they withdraw their money and they don't buy it. And you're saying, well, they could lower their prices. Well, they can't. And here's the reason being, because when the system is affected by inflation, the cost of everything goes up. Because now more people want more stuff. So that corporation has to contact, make it really simple. Joe Schmo makes the materials that Bob needs to sell his product. Well, all these people want to buy Bob's product. Well, Bob doesn't have that much product, but there's a lot of people who want to buy it. So Bob has to call Joe Schmo and say, Joe Schmo, I need a lot more material. Well, Joe Schmo doesn't have that material on hand. He has to get more of that together to make that material. So unfortunately, now that the demand for his material has gone up, he has to raise the price to slow it down to keep up with it. Okay, that's how this market system works. That's how you level out demand. Is the more people demand for items that don't exist, that price will go up. Okay, so then, unfortunately, now Bob has to raise his prices because now it costs him more to put together that item to sell to the people. So, well, Bob's not going to go broke, selling you the product that originally cost him $5 to make, sells it to you for, $10 or let's say $7, right? Now he's going to sell it. It's now costing him $8 or $7 to make it. He's not going to sell it to you at $7 because he can't pay his bills. So he's going to sell it to you for more. And that way he can pay the bills and bring a little money home and bring some money home. And people are like, that's price gouging and that's corporate greed. No, it's called, I went into business to make money. Okay? Anybody. It doesn't matter what country you're in or what the government system is. You start a business because you want to be successful and you want to make money. You want to make something out of it. Okay? If people went into business to be broke, there wouldn't be any businesses left. Why? Because everybody would be broke and they wouldn't have a business. Okay? But the problem is, now it costs more to buy the object, and now the demand drops, and now people are buying less of it. Well, Bob had to pay all that money from Joe Schmo to make these products, to buy this, to get people to buy this stuff because he had the products. Well, the problem is now he's stuck with a bunch of stuff he had to pay more for. People quit buying it. Now he's stuck with it. It cost him $5. It cost him $7 to make it. He was originally selling it for $7, but now it costs more. He's selling it for $10. Now he's stuck with a bunch of stuff that cost him $7 to make, and nobody wants to buy it unless it goes back to the $7 range. And guess what? Now he's stuck making nothing. This is why corporations don't want inflation. That's why, because they are eventually stuck at taking a loss. A huge loss out of the deal. Because the moment inflation comes in and the moment that the prices go up, people withdraw their money and consumer confidence goes down. They stop buying stuff. Companies are holding on to stockpiles of stuff that now they're going to have to sell at almost cost in order to just get rid of it. Or they have to dump it off and take it as a loss. And you think, oh, well, if they take it as a loss, then guess what? They can write it off. Yes, they can write it off, but that's a pain in the ass to do. And here's another reason why it's a pain in the ass. It used to be just a pain in the ass before to write it down as a loss and take it out of what you owe because it's a business loss. But now you get people that take those companies that take those losses and they take it out of their taxes because it was a loss. And because that, now people will take these companies and blast them everywhere and say how horrible they are for not paying their taxes. See where that all comes together? Amazon CEO, they said, he makes billions and billions of dollars, who actually reinvests a large portion of what he makes back into his company. So actually, Jeff Bezos does not have billions and billions of dollars on hand. Okay? He takes that money and puts it back into the company, so he has assets but not actual cash. When he files his taxes, he gets the right to take losses. And the size of that man's corporation, his losses are astronomical. Right now, he's taking some hellacious losses because of inflation. Okay. He's going to get to write that off on his taxes. The corporation's going to get to write that off. But like I said, people don't go into business to not make money. I didn't have a business to not make money. I had a business to make money, pay the bills, and make a couple bucks. I had a business so I could pay other people to work. But if I'm selling you everything it costs, how do I pay the other 11 people that are working for me? Now people said, oh, well, it's still capitalism. That's the reason why. Why? Okay, capitalism is the reason why inflation is happening across the globe. China is suffering from inflationary problems. Venezuela is suffering from inflationary problems. Why do I mention those two specifically? One is socialist, one is communist. If it's a capitalist issue, then why is China and Venezuela suffering from inflationary problems in the marketplace? That was about the time that I got, again, accused of all kinds of things under the sun. When I said, well, if it's a capitalist issue, then why is a communist country and a socialist country both suffering from inflationary problems? So once again, people using an argument saying this is the cause of it when other ones are suffering from it too. Okay? It's just like the whole thing about how one president supposedly can't make a decision to affect the cost of oil, but another one can. It is the most asinine argument ever. But then you're saying, well, it's capitalism is the reason why we have inflationary problems. But you have a communist society, a communist economy, and a socialist economy also suffering from the same problem. Let me give you a piece of advice, and this is how the capitalist system works. Okay, let me give you a little bit of a piece of advice. In a capitalist system, if you don't like the price of something, then people stop buying it. And if the company wants to continue to sell that item, they have to lower their price. So let's just take iPhones, for instance. You ever notice the new iPhone every time it comes out? You want an example of price gouging. I'll give you an example of price gouging. Cell phones is price gouging. An iPhone from last year to this year did not have $600 in upgraded technology that requires them to sell it for $600 more than every of all the phones they sell this model versus the phones they sold to the older model. But here's the reason why they know they can charge this. Because the demand for the phone outweighs the amount that they're going to have out at release. You see the pictures of them lined around the block. Same thing when I was a kid, Air Jordans. Air Jordans were like the first tennis shoe to be sold for $200. When it cost Nike like $1 to make them with, sweatshop slave labor, okay? But they're charging $200 for a shoe. Now, part of that cost is to pay Michael Jordan for his name on the shoe, and they have to pay him a percentage of every shoe sold, but it still doesn't equal $200. But people were lined up around, they were lined up in and out of the mall. For you younger people, a mall was a place where they used to put all the stores on the inside. You didn't go online to order it. You had to actually physically go in somewhere, pick something out, and pay for it. Human face-to-face interaction for you younger people. Us older people used to go to the mall and hang out and eat food and go into the shops and do stuff like that. I know, there's still malls today. I get it. It's a joke. Okay? But they would be lined up through the mall, out of the mall, to buy a $200 pair of shoes that didn't cost $200 to make. And Nike could keep charging this. Why? You bought it. But in a capitalist society, which we are, if the consumer decides that they don't want to pay that price, the consumer can say, and I'm not buying it. And people go, we're not paying for this. And then Nike's now stuck with a $200 shoe, or iPhone stuck with a $1,700 cell phone, and they're not selling them, which means they have to lower the price. They don't have a choice. Now, do I believe that it does it probably to recoup all of the R&D and technology research and development and the cost of the materials and everything? Do I think cell phones are extremely cheap to build? No. Why? Because the phones that we do have, even though they are made in China, they're not the ripoff. Well, not all of them. Some are made in other countries, but they're not the ripoffs that you can actually get from China on Wish. Y'all have ever seen those phones on Wish? Hey, this phone has dual SIM cards. You can get it for $20. Yeah, and I can get a Frisbee for less than that, and it'll fly better. They're no good. Okay? But if you buy a legitimate phone, it's going to cost you a little bit. And I don't have a problem. Like right here, you know how much I paid for this? Okay? This is a Motorola. I paid $250 for it. Why? Because I'm not spending $1,900 on a damn iPhone, whatever number it is. Because there's no point in it. That phone right there will do everything your iPhone will do. Except the difference is I don't have to pay as much for the apps as you do. But the thing is people line up around the block to buy this stuff. And they know they could charge you for it because you buy it. The worst part about it is the ones all screaming that it's capitalism's fault are the same ones that are making these statements on iPhones, usually in a coffee shop. Capitalism is the problem, but you have no issue supporting it. And then they say, well, that's a false argument. No, it's not a false argument. Don't let them try to pull that one on you. It's not a false argument. It is a legitimate argument. Going and spending $1,900 on a phone is supporting capitalism. Going and spending, $8 for a cup of coffee is supporting capitalism. Why? Because you'll buy it and they know they can charge you for that. If you don't want to pay for that, don't buy it. And the prices come down. Because why? They got to make money. And they don't make money with the crap sitting around in the warehouse going nowhere. Now, in this situation, the reason why they charge, and here's the reason why they charge this much for it. Number one, yes, there is some price hike in there for more profitability, of course. Number two, because more people want that than what they, like if this phone right here, $200 phone. If I wanted its big brother, which was $20 more, I had to wait 2 days to get it because the availability wasn't there. No, I took that one. Why? They had it in stock, and it works out for what I needed to do. It literally does what I needed to do. So I bought that phone instead. Okay, and it was cheaper. Okay? But if you don't want, so they do this, they increase this rate because you pay for it, because you will. You'll pay that price. So don't complain about how companies are making money off of you and how horrible the system is if you're willing to stand in line for 8 freaking hours to buy a phone because you're supporting that in which you're saying you don't. It's literally, and I'm stealing this from Tom McDonald, drug addicts don't donate money to pharma. But anti-capitalists will give money to capitalism. So that was one of my clarifications about an argument that I got into this weekend with someone about this whole deal about what's causing inflation. What's causing inflation is the fact that the government was printing money like crazy, doling it out like Oprah Winfrey. You get a check, you get a check, you get a check, you get a check. With no restrictions, with no limitations. And then everybody started buying crap because they're like, well, the government's giving me money, so I don't have to worry about paying my bills. Then they put moratorium on bills. They were literally giving you this money, and this is where the asinine part about this is. They were literally giving you money to be able to pay your bills and put food on the table during the pandemic because you couldn't go to work. And then they put a moratorium on them cutting your stuff off. So now they're literally just giving you money. Take a little bit of it to put some food on the table, and then buy whatever the hell you want to buy. And because businesses were shut down that manufacture this stuff, the availability in the market just sank because there was no more, which caused the price to go through the roof because now I got less and less and less and less and less. And then somebody said, well, if the government put a limitation on how high they can raise the price, well, then guess what's going to happen? There won't be shit there. It's simple. You'll run out of it. Because once a company is having to pay more to make the materials to even attempt to keep up with the demand at this point, they're going to lose money. And when they lose money, they go the hell out of business. And they don't have any products to sell anymore, so they're not bringing in money. So then they shut down. People lose their jobs. There's no more business. That item is gone. See you later. And then people complain, well, that business shut down because they weren't allowed to price gouge. No, you tried to enforce socialism on a business. You tried to have the government say, you can only charge this. Which that's socialism into communism. You're only allowed to charge this. Well, screw you. I'm not making any money off this deal. I'm out of here, pal. I'm going to sell off my business to some other schmuck who wants to take a shot at it, and I'm going to go retire on a beach somewhere. And then they're like, well, we're going to tax the crap out of you selling your business. Good for you. I still have enough. I was broke once before. I can live broke again. And that's it. And folks, stop believing the garbage that's out there about this system. It's absolutely stupid. It's nonsensical arguments to make to make you to try and make you feel guilty. And that's their follow-ups. When you beat them with logic, then they start calling you names. This time around, last time I was called a Trump-loving white supremacist, last time, over the price of oil argument I got into. This time around, I was just straight up called a Nazi. I'm sorry, that right there says I'm a United States Army veteran. I'm not a Nazi by any means. Okay. But that's what I got called because, and that's when you know you've won the argument at that moment. Don't even continue the argument any longer. The moment that somebody goes, poof, and throws that out there, poof, end the argument. Congratulations, you win. Here's your trophy, cup of coffee for $8. Actually, this thing cost me $8. I brew my own. I have to buy it, but I have to buy the coffee to brew it, but, you know, don't get me wrong. I do love myself a Venti Caramel Frappuccino with 2 add shots of espresso in it. Okay. I love the shit out of it, but $8. I don't get it every day. And I used to when I had a FedEx route and I had a little bit of disposable income. Not going to lie. I support the hell out of businesses. I don't have a problem with capitalism. Why? I was a business owner myself. Okay? It's a thing. So anyway, so like I said, when you're having an argument with somebody and they resort to that, and when they decide now that they're just going to call you a racist, whatever, the moment they do that, you've won. The fight's over. Nikani. Oh, now he's over on YouTube. So this means I'm smarter because I parrot everything I hear and I don't have to listen to you. I mean, that's kind of what they do. See, the problem is the people that use these arguments, when it's that stupid, you know damn well it's because somebody told them that. They didn't come up with that theory themselves. Because in order to come up with that theory about how the market system and how the capitalist system works, and trust me, there is a difference between the market system and the free market system, which is capitalism. There is a difference between the global market system operates on the goods and values and exchanges of which on a global scale. Free market is based per countries that have that system. Okay, so let's make sure we understand that there is a difference. But yes, when somebody puts together that argument, you know damn well someone who's intentionally misleading them is the reason why they put that together. They didn't come up with that on their own. Okay, there is somebody going somewhere that says, we're going to put this out, and they're going to believe it because we're the ones that said it. And these people don't even realize how moronic they sound, because this is what it is. They're listening with their eyes, not their brain. Because their brain inside their head, when they type this out, is got to be telling them, do you understand this doesn't sound right? But their eyes are telling them, but this is what so-and-so said, so this has got to be right. You know, a while ago, we used to make the argument, everything you read on the internet isn't true just because it's on the internet. The problem is we seem to have forgotten that argument, and now everything they read on the internet seems to be true. And if you don't agree with me, fact check me. Go research it for yourself. Go look up what a global market system is, and go look at how those prices are affected, how the prices in a global market system are affected. Look at the difference between demand versus product availability versus demand. Look at inflation. Everything I'm telling you is dead accurate, but you don't have to take my word for it. Go research it yourself. And for those idiots go, well, cite your source. It's called the internet. It does exist, and you can use it for good. You can use it for educational purposes. In fact, I dare you, when somebody goes, cite your source, I dare you to type www.therichwilsonshow.com. And you know, by the way, speaking of which, you know we have merchandise there? Check it out. Buy yourself a shirt. Get a bumper sticker. You know. It goes to help pay for this entire operation, including my craptaculous wall I built. Okay. It helps pay for all of that. And ammo for that. You know, but it actually, what it does, it doesn't, not that. That comes out of my own pocket. But no, it goes to keeping this operation going. Dean's like, wait, no way, Rich. No, yes, way. But yeah, so anyway, no, all the proceeds, 100% from the sale of any of my merchandise legitimately goes to the broadcasting of the show. Okay. It doesn't go to any frivolous crap. It literally is getting pumped back into the show to bring you quality programming. Now, I told you before in the beginning of the show, I would talk a little bit about what happened yesterday because we didn't have a show yesterday, and I know I'm running long. I usually try to keep these shows to an hour, but microphones, sound decks, webcams grow on trees, don't they? Not racist trees, according to Kamala Harris, unless I only go to affluent neighborhoods where those trees are. Then maybe I could find a microphone, sound deck, and a webcam and a computer system there. I think. You know, I'd probably get one without questions asked or I can get one downtown from a tree downtown if I don't ask any questions. The DEA might stop by my house, though, to get the evidence they've been looking for. But, you know, who knows? So anyway, yesterday we had No, oh, great. There he goes with puns. No, I'm not going to make like a tree and leave. It's not happening. I'm like you know, I've dug my roots in on this one, all right? So anyway, so yesterday I was going to do a show, but I got involved with the National, as you guys may or may not know, I'm involved with the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and I'm involved with the NOAA Weather Alert and Response System. And we started getting warnings yesterday. The warning started on Sunday. Oh, great. The tree puns are now happening in the chat. Keep going. I love it. So anyway, so I work with them, and starting on Saturday, we started getting warnings that we were looking at some possible bad weather I know that the prediction was starting to show, Thursday, back last Thursday, but around about Saturday is when we really started getting the warnings. By Sunday afternoon, it was set in stone. It was going to be a rough 48 hours. And sure enough, it did. They were dead on accurate. And I want to give credit to one person specifically that made the job a little bit easier to do, and it was Ryan Hall. Guys, check him out on YouTube. It's Ryan. Just type in Ryan Hall, y'all. Wonderful, wonderful operation there. So anyway, at one point we were tracking 11 tornadoes on the ground at one time. 11 of them. I can say this much. I think the grand total, they don't have a complete number. Understand, we're still early in determining this, but they're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of possibly up to maybe 20 tornadoes touchdown in a 19 and a half hour period in the state of Texas. Okay, that's a lot. I went looking for what the record is for most amount of tornadoes in the state of Texas, and I found like 6 different numbers. So I asked Nate and Clint, who's over at NOAA, about, what is the records for this? And even they don't have a specific count, because there is a time where records were not kept on things. So it could be more, it could be less. But we had a horrible, horrible situation. Now for almost everybody that's in my chat tonight, the campground, I cannot get this confirmed, but based on what I saw on radar, if it did touch down, one of the tornadoes that hit yesterday went straight through the campground that you guys were at. So thank God this didn't happen on Saturday. But I got I did put together some footage. Most of this I got from K11 Houston. So I got most of that. I got most of my footage up here, but I want you to see some of the devastation and a couple videos. And I'm going to stay on to say anything. But
so a blast of spring storms slammed North Texas. Many of you took cover yesterday. Tornado watches and warnings popped up all across our area.
Yeah, the hardest hit were in Jacksboro and Bowie. In Jack County, officials say 60 to 80 homes were damaged, including Jacksboro's high school as well as the elementary school there. And this morning, Malini Basu introduces us to one family with a lot of rebuilding ahead.
Connie, that video's in here, I believe.
Oh, this didn't make it.
From the outside, you can see the sheer damage the storm left behind in Jacksboro.
We don't want to stand under that.
The Bumpuses walked us through their house.
We were back in that part of the house.
This is the bathroom that saved you.
That's the bathroom that saved us. Look, we could see the thing coming up, and when we stood up, water was hitting us in the face. I cried and said, I'm not leaving this room. I'm scared to death.
Not knowing when the storm was over.
I knew stuff was getting thrown around.
Their roof ripped off, their walls torn apart.
Only 2 pictures survived on my wall.
I give credit to the guy that installed that ceiling
hanging
fan.
On the walls.
Her wedding picture's gone. My daughter-in-law said, well, the house protected you, so thankful for the house. We were in the right place. And the bathtub's a good place to be.
In Jacksboro, I'm Malini Basu.
And people in Bowie also reported.
Now understand, we build our houses down here for this. And it still did what it did.
Behind, and I know that it's dark there right now, Suzanne, but what are you seeing?
Yeah, Mark and Sonia, good morning. So, yes, there have been multiple structures reported damaged here in Bowie. And like you said, Mark, it is dark out here. My photographer, Daryl Golden, and I have been driving around. Some of these roads are not well lit, but we are having a hard time finding some of the damage that is reportedly out here. But we should get a better idea of what that's going to look like when the sun rises, and we'll be sure to bring that to you. But this morning, there are people that are going to be starting the cleanup process here in the community, because we do know that some of these homes are damaged. One homeowner showed us the damage around his home, and you can see here Craig Bjork said when he saw the storm coming, he ran into his house for safety, and then he went into one room in that house that had 4 walls surrounding it, which he felt would be the safest.
And as soon as I walked through that door right there, the roof got ripped off the garage, and then that door dropped down on my truck, and then as I went through the house, it ripped the roof off the kitchen, and then we all went back into the back hallway bathroom and just went in there and shut the door and rode it out.
You're going to see an aerial view of that guy's house.
And thankfully, he and his family
Later.
are safe. When Craig got out, he said he noticed the roof was ripped off of the kitchen, and a part of the bedroom, the hot tub room as
Dean,
well, said was completely
it was
damaged, and some
around,
bricks came off the house. Now, Bowie is a small community, and we do
6
know
or
that
so
yesterday
yesterday,
a lot
I
of
believe,
people,
between
dozens of them
4 to
actually
6
showed up to
o'clock.
help out their neighbors, and they said that's truly what this is all about,
I
is
lost
coming
track of
together
time while I
to
was
help their
covering
neighbors
all of that.
rebuild. We'll have much more for you guys in about 30 minutes.
All right, Suzanne, thank you. More than a dozen possible tornadoes were reported across the state yesterday. You're looking right now at some video. This is behind us out of Round Rock.
Yeah, Cleo Green taking us across the state of Texas for a closer look at how widespread that damage is. And really, Cleo, it wasn't just North Texas. We saw this video there.
Yeah.
And really, a lot of damage this morning.
Yeah, you know, Mark, Sonny, whenever people or whenever there is a severe weather event, people jump on social media and they post pictures and videos of what it looks like in their area. And all morning long, I've been collecting the most viral video, the most shocking video. We're going to start here with a storm chaser. His name is Nick here. I've been talking to him this morning, and he was out taking some pictures and video of the tornado in his area. This is in Round Rock here. But then this is just video of him helping his neighbors after all of it, picking up the damage from the tornado. And you can see this home. I mean, this is more than just roof damage, right? This home is definitely not in good shape. All right, our sister station here capturing some wild footage emerging after a tornado touchdown in Round Rock as well. This is in a Walmart parking lot. This is from a guy named your boy James Watson. That's his Twitter handle, and I was reading his caption, and he said, you know what, they just don't pay me enough for this. Let's take a closer look here. This was a scary situation. You can just kind of see the debris there in the air. People were running for cover. You can actually hear another employee yelling, get inside, run right now. Now, there were about a dozen reported tornadoes yesterday. Here's another look in Round Rock where a camera at Kalahari Resorts captured a possible tornado seconds before it took a direct hit at the strong winds, knocked it out of service. Now, those storms, they also swept through central Texas, the San Antonio area. They got hit hard, too. Take a look at this tweet here of power flashes and what might be a rain-wrapped twister. And that is a scary situation because you just don't see it coming. Aaron Jack here, another storm chaser, will end here saying a monster tornado just passed north of Taylor in Williamson County. And you can just kind of see how dark and eerie it is. I have a lot more tweets, a lot more video to show you as well. I'll send it back to you guys.
This is the K Houston 11 share of. This is that tornado she was talking about that went into Round Rock. They have what you just saw there is they do have a device, a mechanism to clear off the camera if anything gets debris-wise onto it. It'll get a little splotchy for a moment, but this is a tornado coming to this parking lot of this place. Okay, that's not a car. That is literally a camera on the camera that the security controls, and they have a thing that cleans off the lens. But this is a tornado coming into this. Okay. Now, a lot of people like it. Well, it looks a little broken up and everything else. Not all tornadoes are perfect formed wedges where you can see everything. It's not going over an area with a lot of debris on it, so it doesn't have a lot of stuff to pick up to form that stereotypical funnel that you see. See, now it knocks the camera down. The guy's trying to control it, and he can't because the wind has taken it. Now he's trying to lift it up because the tornado's gone by. That's how fast that moved. Look at how that hit the parking lot, and look at where it's at now. in those buildings. It's already that far away. Remember that guy's house that he was talking about where the roof fell onto his truck and everything else?
Here's a look at some of the damage that we're
That's his
seeing
house.
now from an aerial perspective. This storm damage
But look at
report
what's
has
next
just
to the garage.
extended all throughout the state, ranging from North Texas down into Southeast Texas. We're experiencing now the last of blast
sorry,
from
this
this cold
isn't that
front, but you
guy's
can
house.
see
I apologize.
the damage is absolutely
This is a
extensive. I
different
mean, we're
house.
talking about roofs being blown off of buildings. We're talking about what looks like buildings just being barreled through and
But he has a storm
rummaged.
shelter.
And Kim, if you look at that image, look closely at the top part of that image. That's the tornado shelter.
Wow.
The door wide open there looks like it was blown open, and the building that those folks probably
he left
sought
it open
shelter
when he came
from
out.
is completely destroyed.
Wow.
By it looks like a tornado that went through there.
Texas
This is
Longhorn
just
skull
outside
stayed
of
on the
Dallas.
wall, mounted that
You can see
good.
the island and what looks like the refrigerator swung wide open, the cabinets, everything absolutely, disheveled and dismantled. It's heartbreaking to go through this home and go through the individual rooms, or what used to be individual rooms, and see what's left. It looks like it's been absolutely discombobulated.
Yeah, it's interesting as they pull the shot wider to see if there's any surrounding buildings that were as impacted. And
Now you
looks like
see the
there's
scars
an
on the
adjacent
ground
building that's
up
still got
there?
its roof intact.
The scars on the
So that shows you
ground
how
are
isolated tornado damage can be, depending on its track,
part
where it
of
drops down, where
where
it
the
picks
track
back
of the
up.
tornado
Then
went
you got a random truck out there in the middle of with a horse. The tree is still standing, but the
That
building
truck was
just
actually
less than 100 yards
drug
away,
over
completely
there.
destroyed.
Absolutely
Horse
destroyed.
survived.
The bed was ripped off the truck, but the rest of the truck is fine.
Wild
That's how
images
weird
coming out of
these
North
things
Texas,
are.
outside of Dallas, from the last 24 hours with the same storm system that moved through our area.
All right, so now this is that same drone footage you were just seeing on the report. Now it's where they're actually going around. Okay, that's a tornado. Went through, destroyed the guy's house, left the barn, left his shop up in the backyard, left the house next door alone, but took that truck and you could see the marks in the ground where the truck was dragged on the ground. Took the bed of the truck off, but didn't flip the truck. See how weird these things are? But see how unpredictable they are? Folks, heed warnings. If tornado warnings are there, heed them. Okay? Don't screw around with tornado warnings. Don't sit there and go, oh, okay, everything's going to be fine. Okay? Luckily enough for us, so far as I understand, the death toll is only 1. There are still people missing. But as of right now, officially, the death toll is only 1. And we're damn lucky that's the reason. Because if the video pops up from the Walmart, I want you to pay attention to it. I'm hoping I included that. But look at the devastation in this town, in this area. Those are paved roads that don't have pavement on them anymore. They're covered in dirt and mud. It looks like those are dirt roads. Those are not dirt roads. That's how much crap this moved. Ripped off chunks of house, sides of housing. But then next door, the guy's house is perfectly fine and almost untouched. Took some of the siding off and bent the fence. Across the street, the house was 100% obliterated. Mainly because that house probably took a direct hit. The rest of it was damaged off of side force winds. What I'm hoping for on the missing people, Nakani says, I hope the missing people are just unable to get out of their shelters. The storm chasers help a lot with finding people. You didn't know that? Yeah, because I educated. There was a lot of questions that Jackal had about tornadoes and storm chasing and stuff like that I answered for him. And if you guys have any questions about how all of this works, I can answer them for you as much as I possibly can. But what I'm hoping also is, if that's not the case, if it's just the case that people went somewhere else and didn't notify their family and didn't get in contact with their family right away to say, hey, we're fine, we were over here, so we weren't there. Hell, you could have one where the neighborhood went to look for the family, can't find the family, but the family say went on a vacation and they're just not home right now. And that does happen in these disasters where you have somebody that went on vacation and their house gets destroyed and everybody's looking for them and thinks they got sucked up into the tornado and now they're missing. But they're actually on vacation. As far as I can remember, Monday had more tornadoes in the D.C. area seen in decades. Well, and it's not unusual for the state of Texas to get tornadoes. We're in Tornado Alley. But this level of tornadoes, and let me tell you, as fast as the warnings were coming, the tornadoes were hitting. And as the day went on into night, usually that means they slowed down because you don't have the ground warming intermixing with the cold air in the sky, which changes convection rates. They actually were getting worse. They were getting bigger. Yeah, if that's the case, great thing to come home and vacation to. Usually a friend or something that knows you live there will come by, see that you're not there, knows you're on vacation, and contact you, which ruins your vacation because now you're somewhere and you just realize your house has been obliterated while you're wherever you're at. Me personally, I'm like, well, the house is destroyed. Let's stay. We're gonna be here and we'll just we'll get home when we get home. Yeah, Nikani, sorry, you're in here as Nikani, not Jackal. Was watching what I was watching in the radar images, and I was explaining to him some of them, and he actually got to see how on radar using high-resolution velocity measures shows you exactly what a tornado looks like when it's on the ground. Now, a lot of people you'll see on the regular reflectivity, you get that hook echo. And it's where the bottom of the storm will hook itself around because it's being twisted around. But when you look at the high velocity, you can actually see the wind currents and the speed of these wind currents as they interact and rotate. And he got to see that. And a lot of people don't ever get to see that because if you got your phone and your mobile app and you go to high reflectivity, you get to see the hook echo, but you don't get to see the wind velocities. I was watching the wind velocities and the debris radar echoes yesterday. And I could tell you as soon as there was one on the ground, because not only did you have the velocities right, but then you also get to see the different colors based on the objects that are flying around in the sky. And they will go back. But I made the joke with them. I said, yeah, based on different densities, we'll send back different colors, and it's usually in the blue scale. It's in the blue to black. And black is something that the radar cannot identify based on the density reading. So if like a Volvo gets thrown through the air, it's going to come back as a black image on a radar signature, on the Doppler radar signature, because it doesn't understand the densities. That entire area was pretty much destroyed by a tornado last night. I'm pretty sure we're going to probably see an F4 rating out of that tornado. That's probably going to be an F4. Based on the widespread destruction, because understand, people, how the Fujita scale works with tornadoes. You could have a 4-mile wide tornado come through a neighborhood and still be rated as an F2, an F2, F3, and not an F5. A lot of people mistake that a tornado size is what gives it the rating. That's incorrect. How the rating is issued is based on the total damage of the tornado. So you could have a 4-mile wide tornado that only gets marked as an F2, F3 because it's only picking up and doing so much. But you could get the Gerald tornado that hit back in 97 was rated as an F5, and it was only when it was going through Gerald itself, when it was going through the town, was only about maybe a mile wide, but it literally obliterated everything it touched. Everything it touched was destroyed. And so what they do is they look at the wind speeds that are measurable by radar, and they look at the total amount of damage, and that's how they give its rating. So I'm pretty certain, based on the amount of damage and how it spread the debris and the wind speed coming out of that tornado, you're probably going to see an F4 rating. I do not believe, none of the radar indicated F5s. None of them indicated that. So I don't believe that we'll have an F5, but I believe that one will probably get an F4 rating. I really do believe that. I believe the one that hit Madison is going to get rated quite possibly as an F4 tornado. But I think a lot of the rest of them, like the one you saw going through Round Rock, that picture from the security camera, it's probably going to be an F2, F3. Because you notice it went through a parking lot. There wasn't a lot of debris in it. A lot of moisture, which you were seeing the moisture rotate. So you may, and it didn't rip the camera off of the pole at all, and it's on a hinge system, and it should have. So you're probably looking at an F2, F3 tornado. Not a massive high velocity wind system, and did not do a lot of damage. The one that hit down in outside, the one that hit Seguin yesterday, that one could possibly be an F3, F4. I haven't seen any photographs coming out of Seguin where that tornado hit, unless that's out the second hit of the Seguin tornado that's there, because the Seguin tornado started in Seguin, worked its way through part of Seguin, went back up, and then about 15, 20 miles later came back down again, and the radar imaging from the second hit was even more powerful than the first hit. So that could be that area out there. I don't know, because K Houston 11 did not state where they were specifically at for this footage. So who knows? And I think this is when the drone starts taking off at this point on this video. I do believe the video of the guy in the truck is on here, though. It should be. If not, I'll go search it real quick and pull it up. I don't remember. I think I got it, because I think I also got the footage of the storm chaser that was hit by a semi truck that got blown over. But I mean, just look at the amount of devastation. This is like I said, this is going to be an F4. This is going to get the rating of an F4, just by the amount of destruction that we're seeing. I'm telling you right now, I'd almost put money on it. This is going to be rated as an F4. And if this is Seguin, or if this is that tornado was out by Seguin, just imagine those of you that are in my chat that were at the event this weekend. Be glad this did not happen on Saturday. I made the comment to Nikani yesterday that if this did hit on Saturday, if it did hit the RV park that Spring War was located at, I was going to be giving the eulogy for a lot of my friends. Because if it did hit that RV park and you guys were camping in tents, you guys wouldn't have survived it. So I'm partially grateful that this happened on Monday and not on Saturday, and I wish this didn't happen at all. And since I was watching this last night, I immediately started praying that nobody would die and that everybody would be safe. But since we don't have any audio from anything going on right now, because this doesn't have any audio to it, let me tell you about a problem we had last night. And I will tell you, the guys from NOAA are very upset right now. Last night, while these were going on, once NOAA confirms that they have a radar indicated possibility of a tornado, they don't even have to prove that it is down. Once radar is saying the conditions state that there should be a tornado, they immediately and it's an automatic system. The moment that they put the tornado warning up and that they have a radar indication for the tornado warning, their system automatically notifies the emergency management system for the county or for the city. Usually both. And then somebody from NOAA physically contacts the person who is on the duty roster for the emergency management system for that area and notifies them they need to activate the sirens to notify people. The one that hit Madison last night, there was no sirens. In the middle of the night, you're talking 8 o'clock at night when people are at home. The sirens never activated in Madison. They were contacted, and they didn't activate the sirens. In fact, if you go look up Reed Timmer on YouTube, there's a video of Reed Timmer in Madison. He literally is screaming, "There are no sirens. Somebody please call them and tell them to activate the sirens." There was a law enforcement officer that he ran into, and he screams at him, "You guys, the tornado is behind us. It is coming into town. You need to activate the sirens." They didn't activate the sirens. The reason why we developed the siren system for tornadoes is to try and save lives. Now, with the amount of research that we have done, we can get those sirens activated faster and give people more time. Last night, this was so bad that the moment the sirens went off, we were telling people, the moment the sirens go off, run. You don't have time, because all of these were fast movers. None of these were slow crawlers. They were all fast movers. If you hear the sirens, run. Don't walk. Run. We also found out they didn't activate the sirens in Round Rock when the tornado came through. They activated the siren in Gerald. In fact, the moment the tornado warning hit, before the tornado got close to Gerald, they had the sirens going. But you're also talking about the place. If you want to search something, Google search Gerald tornado 1997. Okay, search it. Okay, it's not fun. I don't really want to go into discussion about Gerald, but understand that you want to see some devastation in the state of Texas. Look at the Gerald tornado, 1997. It's bad. They have a documentary on it. It's horrific. A lot of people lost their lives in that. So, these sirens are here for a reason, and it's to save people's lives. From my understanding, the emergency manager of Round Rock will probably be losing his job, because from what I understood and what I heard is he hung up on NOAA. And this is also what I understand is the guy who's fifth in charge in the administration of NOAA is in Austin,
Yeah,
Texas.
just really bad damage, like you said. But within the last half hour or so, we were able to get the drone up in the air so that we could take a look from above and see how things are shaping out here on the ground. If you want to take a look at that drone video, you can see this neighborhood off of Norman Lane. It's a small neighborhood that backs up to Highway 187 here in Crockett. And you can just
this is the
look inside
this
those
one's
houses.
the Crockett tornado.
And you can see some of the devastation that these families are going to have to face. Right now you're taking a look at the Valero gas station that's on the corner. It's part of a larger strip mall, and that entire strip mall
I know
is
he's
absolutely
talking, but to give you an idea of how weird
it's
tornadoes
really,
are,
it's really impressive. On the ground we see
it destroyed all that,
some
but
of the
did not
damage,
touch the
but
storage
when you
facility.
actually get a look
And the
from
storage
above
facility
and
is
you
like the
see,
equivalent of a
how-
mobile home.
how
You
many
got
lives
some
have been torn
the
apart
holes in
by
the
this
roof
storm. It's-
are actually
it's
from
just
debris,
really, incredible
not from the
to think
tornado.
about that.
Well, they came out of the tornado. Okay, so I don't have that video. Give me 1 second, folks. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to pull that video up. Let's see. It's in here. Just give me 1 second. You guys got to see this. This video. There it is. Texas March tornadoes. Where is it? Okay, so is this it? Nope. Nope. I wish I know who it exactly was that posted. It was K11 did post this video. I have to give K11 a lot of credit for their coverage on this, their coverage was pretty damn solid the whole way through. I got to give those guys a lot of credit. I'm trying to find the footage that here it is. It's from CBS This Morning. Actually shows this, which is weird. It came out of CBS This Morning. So let me go to display capture. There we go. All right, so this is credit of CBS. Oh, hold on. You guys probably can't hear that because I'm just realizing in order to do screen capture, I have to have desktop audio on. So let me play this again.
We warned you about it yesterday, and in fact, it came to pass. At least 17 confirmed tornadoes in Texas and Oklahoma. This is what it looked like.
That number's still changing.
One of those storms from a TV camera in Round Rock, Texas. You can see just some of the destruction left in the wake of that twister. In Elgin, southeast of there, the driver of a red pickup truck barely survived when high winds flipped the truck onto its side.
Right there.
Let's go to Chris Van Cleve, who is in hard-hit Jacksboro, Texas. That's about 60 miles northwest of Fort Worth. Chris, these pictures are
That
really
was the red
something.
pickup.
Good morning.
So here, I'll pull it back real quick.
Amazing survivor story here. This was the gymnasium of the elementary school.
Of that twister in Elgin.
Okay, so I'm going to try to stop it when it gets...
In southeast of...
Right there's a red pickup truck. You guys see that? There it is right there. Okay.
There, the driver of a red pickup truck
It's now...
barely survived when
It now
high
got
winds
flipped on its side.
the truck onto its side. Let's go to Chris Van Cleve.
He's
who's
in the
hard-hit
tornado.
Jacksboro, Texas. That's about...
That guy in the pickup truck drove off. In fact, here's another shot of it. By the way, that was a high school.
Caught inside the powerful line of tornadoes tearing through Texas and Oklahoma Monday. Watch as this driver in Elgin somehow maintains control, cheating death and driving off. The storm.
He didn't maintain control. That he got lucky. And he was now carrying a load that he didn't originally have in his pickup truck at that point. It just happened to be in his pants. It's like Jackal said, it was the guy who really wishes he was wearing brown pants that day. I'm trying to see if they got the video of the Walmart because theirs, I think, has the audio. But by the way, that's a high school behind him. Yeah, that was taken by one of the storm chasers. That video of but that right there, that's a high school behind him. They were in school when that hit. Luckily enough, nobody was hurt in this. Minor little scrapes and dings, but the staff was able to get everybody in the school, the kids, the parents, all of them were able to get them in a safe spot in the school to be able to ride out the storm. Let's see,
Of the tornado. That gave enough time for staff here to get the 500 students, parents, and teachers into a safe area just as the tornado struck.
Caught inside the powerful line of tornadoes
That's a
tearing
repeat?
through Texas and Oklahoma Monday. Watch as this driver in Elgin somehow maintains
The Elgin
control,
tornado was
cheating
bad.
death and driving off.
That
The
one was the
storm
longest
brought
track of
wind,
them all.
Pounding rain and hail.
It's on the ground.
At least dozens of homes are believed damaged or destroyed. A twister ravaged the small Texas town of Jacksboro just as school was about to let out. Parents like Allie Vanderkay, waiting to pick up kids, were rushed inside moments before the building took a direct hit.
Insulation and the roof was blowing over us, and it was loud and crazy and chaotic.
Both the elementary school and the nearby high school experienced heavy damage.
Yep.
Just feet from where hundreds of students, teachers, and parents were hiding from the storm.
Came out and I saw like the trees like uprooted, like how that's powerful.
The roof of the gym ripped off, walls collapsed while cars in the parking lot tossed and flipped upside down.
That one probably because the amount of damage it did to the structures and the size of the structures that it hit might get rated an F4. So to produce that many F4s out of a single system is just absolutely ridiculous. I want to see if this Walmart video has the audio. Let's see if it has the audio. Tell me what you don't hear.
Get inside! Get inside! Run! 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 Oh my God! A car!
What don't you hear?
Run! 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 Everybody go! 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 Stay away from the windows! Get away from the windows!
I don't. It keeps going on for a little bit. But what don't you hear? No sirens. Anybody in the chat right now or listening, have you ever heard when the tornado sirens go off? It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, unless you have your ears are covered, okay, or you've got like the literal noise canceling, you will hear those sirens, even over tornadoes. They still had power, but the sirens never went off. Once again, we are lucky we did not lose more people than we did. It is asinine that a state that has tornadoes, the sirens didn't go off in some of these. At least the tests, I don't think they use full power for that. No, yes, they do. When the National Weather Service, the FEMA, and when the federal government and the NWS and all of them, which NOAA is a division of National Weather Service, okay, when they do the test, no, it is full bore. It is literally full bore. The other thing that I've heard is the people in Madison and the people in Round Rock did not get the notification on their phone there was a tornado in the area. You're supposed to get a text message alert that goes off. And it will go off and it will go, the National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning for your area. Tornado has been spotted. When the sirens go off and they say that means it has been spotted, or they'll say radar indicated. Either or, you run. You get in a shelter immediately or into. And folks, real quick lesson, and then I'm going to call this a night because we've gone too far. Do not use an overpass as a shelter. I got lucky once and was able to use an overpass as a shelter. Luckily enough, the girders were deep enough in the overpass that I was able to get up deep inside of it. I couldn't hear for a couple days after that. I got lucky. Know at all times when you're in areas that produce these things. First of all, when you go through an area that is prone for tornadoes, keep an eye on the weather. Get yourself a weather app, a radar app that has the alert system automatically in it. Get all that. Make yourself prepared. Being weather prepared will save your life. Don't rely on anyone else to notify you. Be prepared yourself. But also understand, it is the job of the emergency management system of these towns and counties to notify you of this. It is their responsibility. Like I said, once again, it is absolutely horrific that we have lost a life that's been confirmed, and that many other people were severely injured, and some people are still missing. But I will say it could have been a hell of a lot worse. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys out there, everybody out there, for watching the show tonight. Hope you had a good time. Dave, thank you very much for everything. To think of that, if I recovered faster and left your place that day, I would have been driving through it. Yep. You actually, no, if you'd have recovered faster and you'd have left that day, you would have been ahead of it. Unless you went up I-35. If you took I-10 to Florida and then went up, you'd have been ahead of it the entire way. It didn't hit down here at I-10 level until early this morning, so you would have actually been okay. But anyway, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. I went long, but there was definitely some things I wanted to talk about. Plus, I wanted to get to what happened yesterday and why we weren't on the show. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson. You are not, and trust me, on some days, that's a damn good thing. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great time, folks. Remember. I still got screen capture up. I'm like, why am I looking at my? By the way, that's gorgeous Lake Tahoe on my screensaver there. That place actually exists. You can go there. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show. If you have any question or anything like that, feel free to you can email me at the Rich Wilson Show at therichwilsonshow.com for emails. Check out the richwilsonshow.com website. Check out our shop, stuff like that. If you like the show, make sure you click like on the show. Click like on that YouTube. And make sure you're subscribed and notifications are set so that way every time we come on. Same thing with Twitch. Make sure on Twitch you're following and you like the show on Twitch. Ladies and gentlemen, for everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson, and we will see you later. In fact, boom, there it is. I know it's here somewhere. You can't see it, but it's because I've got the other spot. It should be higher up and some stuff I got to work on. But anyway, folks, I hope you guys had a good night and enjoyed the show, folks. Have yourselves a good one. We'll see you back here tomorrow night, and we're out. See you. Bye.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you